Somewhere beneath the dark waters of the North Atlantic, a Soviet ballistic missile submarine glides through the deep, carrying enough nuclear warheads to level a continent. Her captain believes he is alone, invisible, cloaked by the vast emptiness of the ocean. But he is wrong. Less than 1,000 yards behind him, matching his every turn, his every depth change, his every attempt to lose any unseen pursuer, an American hunter-killer follows in absolute silence. For 44 days, this shadow will never leave him. The Soviet captain will never know. This is not a scene from a novel. This is what the Los Angeles class was built to do. The United States Navy faced a terrifying new reality. Soviet submarines were getting faster. They were getting bolder. In February 1968, a Soviet November-class attack submarine intercepted the carrier USS Enterprise as she sailed out of San Francisco Bay en route to Vietnam. American intelligence had been warned she was coming, but the incident exposed a brutal truth. The existing Sturgeon-class submarines, the backbone of the American attack fleet, were simply too slow to keep pace with Soviet boats now shadowing American carrier battle groups. If war came, those Soviet submarines could close on a carrier and put a nuclear-tipped torpedo into her hull before American escorts could intervene. Admiral Hyman Rickover, the brilliant and controversial father of the nuclear navy, understood what had to be done. Within weeks of the Enterprise incident, 7 submarine commanders gathered in secret with Rickover to design America's response. In just 90 days, they laid the foundation for the most ambitious attack submarine program in history. The result was the SSN 688, the Los Angeles class, a boat that would change undersea warfare forever. The Los Angeles class was built around one revolutionary principle: speed kills. Rickover had been secretly working on adapting a powerful surface ship reactor for submarine use, and this new power plant became the heart of the 688. The General Electric S6G pressurized water reactor delivered approximately 30,000 shaft horsepower through a single 7-bladed propeller, giving the Los Angeles a classified top speed estimated by outside analysts at 33 to 37 knots. The Navy officially admits only to speeds exceeding 25 knots. But what matters is this: the Los Angeles could run with the carriers. She could chase down the Soviet boats trying to kill them. At 360 feet in length and displacing nearly 7,000 tons submerged, the Los Angeles was 50% larger than the Sturgeons she replaced. That size was not wasted. Every additional foot of hull was filled with the most advanced acoustic systems ever put to sea. The AN/BQQ-5 sonar suite, centered on a massive spherical array in the bow containing over 1,200 transducers, could detect enemy submarines at ranges that remain classified to this day. Conformal arrays along the hull, combined with towed arrays stretching more than 1,000 feet behind the submarine, gave the Los Angeles the ability to hear targets at extraordinary distances while remaining virtually undetectable herself. The secret to the class was not just what she could hear, but what she did not emit. American submarine designers had spent decades learning to silence their boats, isolating machinery on rubber mounts, designing quieter pumps and turbines, applying anechoic tiles to absorb enemy sonar pings. The Los Angeles represented the culmination of that effort. At tactical speeds, she was a hole in the ocean. Soviet sonars that could track their own submarines with ease found themselves straining to detect American boats creeping through their patrol areas. Beginning in 1976, with the commissioning of USS Los Angeles herself, the Navy built these submarines at a Cold War pace, delivering 3 to 5 boats per year. By 1990, 42 were in service. Each one carried 26 weapons in her torpedo room, including the fearsome Mark 48 torpedo capable of chasing down any submarine or surface ship in the world. She could launch Harpoon anti-ship missiles through her torpedo tubes, and starting with USS Providence in 1985, the class gained 12 vertical launch tubes forward of the sail, allowing her to carry Tomahawk cruise missiles that could strike targets 1,000 miles inland. The Los Angeles class was built for one mission above all others: hunting Soviet submarines. American boats conducted trailing operations that remain among the most closely held secrets of the Cold War. In March 1978, USS Batfish intercepted a Soviet Yankee-class ballistic missile submarine in the Norwegian Sea. Guided by intelligence from satellites and the SOSUS hydrophone network on the ocean floor, Batfish picked up the Soviet boomer as she rounded Norway's North Cape. For 51 hours, she shadowed the Yankee through storms and evasive maneuvers, lost contact briefly, then reacquired her target with help from maritime patrol aircraft. The trail continued for 44 consecutive days, the longest unbroken track of a Soviet ballistic missile submarine ever conducted by an American boat. If war had come, that Yankee would have been dead within minutes of the first shots. But trailing was only part of the story. Los Angeles-class submarines crept into the most sensitive waters on Earth, operating just miles from Soviet naval bases to monitor fleet movements and communications. In February 1992, USS Baton Rouge was conducting just such a mission near Severomorsk, home of the Soviet Northern Fleet, when disaster struck. A Soviet Sierra-class submarine, the Kostroma, surfaced directly beneath the American boat. The collision damaged both submarines. Neither crew knew the other was there until impact. Baton Rouge returned home with tears in her hull and was decommissioned the following year. The Kostroma was repaired and returned to service, her crew painting a victory star on her sail in the tradition of World War II submarines. The incident revealed just how close these Cold War adversaries operated and how deadly the consequences of a miscalculation could have been. The Los Angeles class also conducted some of the most audacious intelligence operations in naval history. American submarines participated in programs like Operation Ivy Bells, which placed wiretaps on Soviet underwater communications cables in waters the Soviets considered absolutely secure. Navy divers working from specially modified submarines tapped cables in the Sea of Okhotsk, recording conversations between Soviet Pacific Fleet headquarters and the nuclear submarine base at Petropavlovsk. For nearly a decade, American intelligence listened to unencrypted Soviet military communications, gaining insights into their capabilities, their intentions, and their fears. When the operation was betrayed by a disgruntled NSA analyst in 1980, the Soviets discovered the tap and hauled it up. It now sits in a Moscow museum, a testament to American ingenuity and Soviet embarrassment. The Soviets were closing the acoustic gap. The Victor III class incorporated stolen Western technology to dramatically reduce radiated noise. Then came the Akula. When the first Akula-class submarine went to sea in 1984, American submariners realized their advantage was eroding. The improved Akula was judged by U.S. naval intelligence to be quieter than the original Los Angeles class at tactical speeds. Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Jeremy Borda told Congress in 1995 that at low speeds, the Akula was very difficult to detect. The Soviets had achieved something American planners never thought possible. The Navy responded with the 688I, the improved Los Angeles. Beginning with USS San Juan in 1988, the final 23 boats of the class incorporated dramatic advances. The diving planes moved from the sail to the bow, and the sail itself was strengthened, allowing these boats to punch through Arctic ice to pursue Soviet Typhoon-class missile submarines in their polar bastions. The ANBSY-1 combat system integrated sensors and weapons with unprecedented speed. Most importantly, the 688 I-boats were quieter still, ringing the last measurable decibels from machinery isolation and hull treatments. The Los Angeles class proved herself in combat during the Gulf War of 1991. 9 boats deployed to the Middle East, and on January 19, USS Louisville made history by becoming the first submarine ever to launch a Tomahawk cruise missile against an enemy target. Her missiles screamed across the Arabian Peninsula and slammed into Iraqi air defenses, command centers, and communications nodes. The submarine had transformed from a hunter of other submarines into a precision strike platform capable of reaching deep into enemy territory without risking a single pilot. Over 62 boats were built before the last, USS Cheyenne, was commissioned in 1996. No submarine class in history had been produced in such numbers. They served as the backbone of American undersea power for decades, and even today, more than 20 remain in commission, still conducting classified missions that their crews will never discuss. They trained a generation of submariners. They developed tactics still used by the Virginia-class boats that followed. They proved that speed, stealth, and sensors, combined in a single hull, could dominate the undersea battlespace. The Soviets built submarines that dove deeper. They built submarines that ran faster. But they never built a submarine force that could match what the Los Angeles-class represented: a sustained industrial and technological effort that kept American boats one step ahead through the most dangerous decades of the Cold War. When Soviet admirals briefed their leaders on the state of their fleet, they had to confess that they could not reliably find American submarines operating in waters they considered their own. The Los Angeles-class was not just a weapon system; she was a statement of national will, a declaration that the United States would contest the deep ocean as fiercely as it contested the skies and the land. For more than 40 years, these boats have sailed where few men dare to go, doing work that will remain secret long after the last of them is scrapped. They terrified the Soviet Navy not because of any single capability, but because of what they represented: American boats that could appear anywhere, strike without warning, and vanish before anyone knew they had been there. The Cold War is over. The Soviet Union is gone. But the legacy of the Los Angeles-class endures in every submarine that followed, in every young officer who learned his trade aboard a 688, in every doctrine and tactic developed by men who understood that beneath the waves, silence is life, speed is freedom, and the hunter who strikes first is the hunter who survives.